All right. Tom Fitzgerald, the general manager of the New Jersey Devils, is joining us all about the jersey here today. And I appreciate you taking out the time to meet with us. We're the hardest core fans there are. So a good time to be a Devils fan. And thanks in part, I think, to what you've put together on the ice. But 9-game winning streak, they haven't done it since, I think I read 2007, which I think you retired in 2006. So
yeah.
If you think about it, that's been quite a while. So yeah. How do you try and not get too high during a stretch like this?
Well, it's not easy, that's for sure. You know, I think there's probably times in a stretch like this where I want my coaches to be harder on the players, just to snap them back into reality a bit. We want, obviously, enjoying it, but you know, these players know that they're going to have highs and lows every single game, and to us, it's all about just staying even keel. You're never as good as your greatest games, and you're never as bad as your worst games. So, trying to mentally stay even keel is very important.
Was it hard keeping that in mind last year when the team was? It started out okay, and then it just sort of, with the goaltending and everything, it just fell off the cliff. And then you see some of the goaltending injuries now, and you're wondering, oh God, or holding your breath with Akira starting the other night.
Well, I've said this, and you probably read it. I'm definitely more comfortable this year, I think, because of the group in front of our goaltender, but not just the individuals, but how we're doing things collectively. How we're playing, how we're not giving up much off the rush. One of the areas of concern in the past has been and it's exactly how we wanted to draw it up. We want to be high octane offense. You know, that's how you develop offensive skilled players, instead of putting handcuffs on them and wanting them to, chip pucks in because that's the right thing to do. I personally believe that, trying to extract the offensive ability out of all these young players, that's why we drafted them, was the first checklist we needed to do. Then it was, let's learn how to play. Let's learn how to manage the clock. Let's learn how to manage the lines when they get pucks in deep because of the time on the clock. I always felt we were a resilient group, that we were in every single game. But continue to play the right way. You move forward this year, and we add certain pieces that we wanted to blend into what we already have, with the pillars of Jack and Nico and Bradder, Dougie, and add to that with, championship pedigree and Palat. Players, you look at all the players we had, they've never not missed the playoffs. Brendan Smith may have missed the playoffs once in Detroit, but their expectations and standards are to play in the postseason. So when you inject that into your locker room, that you're now taking another step, so the standards and expectations are higher. And I think what we're seeing is, well, I know what we're seeing. We're seeing a committed team. We use the word connected. And when you can do that with the 5 guys, you're giving up less off the rush. You're giving up less in the slot. So the goaltender just has to make the saves he needs to make. And that's why I'm a little more comfortable this year than I was last year, because the players in front of the goalie.
So you mentioned connected, because I've listened to a few of the other interviews you've done recently, and connected was a word that you've used quite a bit. What does that mean to you? Does that mean just connected on the ice, or are you talking about connected in the locker room, or is it like a combination of all those things? Because it feels like that's kind of the buzzword of 2022 right now. So
yeah, well, again, I think the maturity of our homegrown players is starting to sprout. And last year I used the word committed. Are you committed to the system? Are you committed to playing the right way? Are you committed to each other on and off the ice? Are you committed to your nutrition? Are you committed to, your weight program when need be? You can define it any way. It doesn't matter, but as long as we're on the same page, then good things can happen. So we wanted to build a process on, how do we come to the rink every day? How do we prepare for practice? How do we tape our sticks, lace our skates up? We consistently do the same thing. How are we practicing? Are we working? What's the purpose? Put it on the coaches. What's the purpose of drills A, B, C, and D? What do we want to get out of this? And we just felt like, you probably heard me say this too, we don't want to put the cart before the horse here. Like we want to build a process, a culture, a high standard on what our expectations are, and believe that we will get results if we play like this consistently. I never thought we'd go on a 9-game winning streak, but the process, how we got there is in place. So that's the most important thing I'm taking out of this is don't put the cart before the horse. Don't get too high. And definitely don't get too low.
Yeah, you mentioned the high octane offense a little bit earlier and sort of the way the Devils want to play. And one of the things I think that's been surprising, I think for most Devils fans, probably even especially around the league, for anybody that's been paying attention to the Devils the last few years, is if you look at the analytical numbers, Devils are not only top in terms of generation of shots and offense, but near the top of the league in terms of suppression. Like, is that a planned part of the system, or is that just a byproduct of what you guys? I'm just curious as your take on it.
We're playing the same system we played last year. We're playing the same system we played in the shortened season. We've tweaked it. When I say system, I'm talking D zone. That's what I'm talking, because through the neutral zone, yeah, we had to make some adjustments because of the amount of goals we were allowing. So we played a little more passive. We don't want to be a passive team. We want to be an aggressive team. But it comes right back to your last question, and I probably didn't answer it. I used the word committed. You asked me about connected. We have 5 guys connected on the ice. So when we want our D keeping offensive zone time alive by pinching, we have actually forwards backing up and being high third guy. We didn't have that in the past. We weren't committed to that. We were just nosediving into the offensive zone, and odd man rushes were happening. When we're breaking out, we're connected. We always have a 4th guy up in the ice to outnumber our guys. Our neutral zone, you see the back pressure. Last year, I called it synchronized skating. We had forwards back checking hard, but they were skating along the puck carrier instead of attacking the puck carrier and allow the D to stand up. So we're giving up less because we're all connected. And we're committed to doing the things away from the puck that good teams do.
Okay. So one thing I wanted to ask you is that you talked, I think, in the past about creating more of a familial feeling around the organization. And I'm curious as to like people who aren't, who've never been involved in being a hockey executive. So you're the top executive in the Devils. How much of a personal relationship do you allow yourself to have with the players? Like I think of Nico Hischier, for example. Like he's your captain. You were a captain for the Predators, like in their inaugural, I think it was 4 seasons you were the captain there. But how much do you pull somebody aside like that and not only connect with them on that level, but maybe on a personal level, like life lessons, so to speak, father figure type of thing? Like, do you allow yourself to do that, or is a business get in the way?
Oh no, I allow myself to do that. If you ask the players, I'm ingrained in that locker room. I'm part of the fabric. I don't have an office downstairs, but I'm there quite often. I'm around. I just had breakfast with them. I'm here. I have lunch with them. I'm there, and that's the way I purposely want this to be. Like whether I trade a guy, not sign a guy, it doesn't matter. That's work. When we're talking about spending time together with people and getting to know them and understanding their families and some of their growing pains or some of the things that they struggle with or some of the things they're excited about, that you have to be around to understand that. So when I say I'm trying to grow a real homey family organization, it's just treating people the way I want to be treated, and hockey's a business. Doesn't mean you can't say hello to somebody or ask them about how your day's going because someone's a pending UFA, or maybe I've got somebody on the trading block and I know it. I'm not going to ignore them. They're people. When you look at our front office, we have really, really good people. Like they're just good people that care about one another, and at the end of the day, really, really, really are passionate about the New Jersey Devils. So when you can build that type of environment, people want to come to work every day. And one of the other words that we've used in the locker room was joy. Let's have fun. Like let's enjoy this. Like this, there's no reason to come to the rink and squeeze your sticks every day. Yes, everybody has internal pressures. I'll talk to the players because Eric Haller has not scored a goal yet, but I know exactly how I walked in his shoes, so I can go to him and say, don't worry about that. Just keep doing the things you're doing. We brought you into face-offs. You're a highly competitive player. Finish your checks. You alleviate D-zone starts for Nico Hischier. You can play in the PK, PP. Like, you're doing a lot of good things. You're contributing. Don't worry about it. I've been through that. I've walked in those kids' shoes, other than Jack and Nico. Probably Brad. I don't know what their life's like. But everybody else, I've walked in those shoes, so I can really relate. Yeah, I think they're not gonna bullshit me on anything. That's for sure. I've been through it. So, but that's why I just try to apply my experiences to help, whether it's with Nico as captain or Jack as assistant captain or Nate Bastard or Mike McLeod in their roles or Miles Wood. I've done that. So it's I think I enjoy it. I enjoy that part of the job. Probably the most is relating to the players.
So you come from, you played the game really before the analytics revolution. And the Devils have, I think, a pretty substantial analytics department. How much do you lean on them when you're considering moves, when you're considering, drafting, when you're considering, I don't even know how much analytics exists for, say, top prospects or people you're considering in the draft, but since it's still kind of, I don't know if I'd describe it in its infancy, but it sort of still is. Like, how much do you work with them in terms of making decisions, in terms of like when you're considering making a move or letting someone go? Like, how do you work with that department? How often do you lean on them?
Well, I lean on them as often as I lean on my pro scouts. It's all integrated. It's all part of the decision making. They're a huge part in decision making. That's for sure. Yes, I would say we, compared to the rest of the league, have a fairly robust analytic department. The data that we get is important. We see trends, whether it's just a lineup decision or, hey, you may want to split up these two guys because numbers are telling us this, or, hey, these two guys actually perform well together in the past. So we use it in many ways. Yep, we have we not only use it for the amateur side. Like, we have one guy he's assigned to that department from the analytics department. The coaches, it's a curiosity thing. They'll have questions after questions on, hey, what is it saying here? What about a power play? Where are some of the better power plays getting their production from? We use it in many ways. Contracts, where's the fall off on a player's career? So to say we use analytics is an understatement. It's part of our decision making, along with the eye test. At the end of the day, and I've said this, we've got an abundance of talent, and we've built our program around talent, which is awesome because you need talent to win. But you also need grunt, you need grind, you need guys who can play north south and play heavy games as well. So my job is not just to collect talent. It's to build a team, and to build a team, it's not just all offensive guys. It's guys who are turning themselves over to the team in many ways.
So so when you talk to people who aren't as aware of the Devils, you hear some of the national people talk about the team. One thing that comes up repeatedly, there's actually two things. Goaltending, like, people still are like, yeah, they're doing great now, but I'm not sure if Vanacek's a long-term answer. Even going into the season, people were like, oh, they're going to run back from McKenzie and Vitek. Is that going to be good enough? And then the other thing that they mention is, and this comes up over and over again, I think that team could be good, but the forward group is too small. Like, they can be pushed around. I think you saw a little bit of that in the Calgary games, a little bit. I think they're talking more specifically about sort of the skilled players that the Devils have that there's not a lot of size that goes with those guys. But is the goaltending still a concern for you? And B, is size something that you're considering as an upgrade? And then the one last thing is that people do mention finishing, and then the Devils don't have a pure sniper finisher in their lineup. So those are the three things that people constantly point at.
Well, I would say first, the goaltending. I do think it's a production of how we were playing in front of the goalies. And then, second with Jonathan Bernier's injury, I didn't know where he was going to be, and I still don't. So it was important to address that. Listen, I mean, you can ask the goal. There's maybe 4 high-end goaltenders in this league. Everybody else seems to have tandems. And that's the route we decided to go. We believed in Mackenzie Blackwood could get his game back to where it was in 1920, if you remember, where his save percentage is. I mean, it was true. I mean, we were winning hockey games that we shouldn't have been winning because of him alone.
He was on the Hockey Canada short list last year.
He was one of the 4 goalies that they were considering for the Olympics. Mm-hmm. So you have to apply COVID. You have to apply the injury to him last year. He had a great summer. He was 100% healthy. Mentally felt great about where he's at. So, you have to give him that opportunity to run the ball back. But by supporting him, which we've tried for the last 3 summers, going back to Corey Crawford, and then Jonathan Bernier, unfortunately, with the injury, and now this time around with Vanacek, who's younger and believe has upside. And I didn't, I wasn't trading for the next Marty Brodeur. I know that. But somebody who gives us a chance to stay in hockey games and believe that we can win. And up to this point, both of those goalies have done that. And that's, I think, a byproduct of how we're playing in front of them. So
you sort of believe just the goalie thing. Like people were saying last year, it's just the goalie. If they can get average goaltending, this team will be good. Like, so you sort of bought into that.
I think we all saw the numbers and where the data showed offensively, but we were still giving up more odd man rushes against than any team in the league. And you can't win hockey games like that. You may be able to sneak out a game, a win here or win there, but to sustain winning, you had to clean it up. I really think the onus is on the players to be committed and connected to help our goaltending first. So we've done that, and we are doing that. Yeah, we've given up some rushes, but not like we've done in the past, and we're getting the saves we need to get saves from. Second question with size, I would ask, Braden Point's not a very big guy. Kucherov, he's not a very big guy. I'm not sure how big those Tampa Bay forwards are. But they get to the inside and they battle and they compete. And if our little guys continue to battle and get to the inside, they're going to produce. So I think speed kills, to be honest with you. I think we're a very fast team. I think we don't only skate fast, but we play fast. And we move pucks fast, which is hard to defend. So can we get pushed out of games? I will say that Calgary game, you're right. They're a big, heavy team. They came in and they were physical. We may have bent, but we didn't break. And what happened thereafter in the second period, we got back to our games. And I don't know how consistent you can physically play for 60 minutes of a game. You may say games within the game, but at the end of the day, you slow down, and our speed took over that game. I wanted to get bigger on the back end. We have to be one of the biggest defense core in the league, but we can skate, and we're mobile, and we can end plays, and we can transition plays. I'm not as overly concerned up front, that's for sure. Hey, we talked about building a team. Yeah, I'd like to add a little more size, but I'm okay with where we're at because the guy's really pulling us along. Like Nico's no small guy. He's almost 6'2", 6'1.5". Like he's pretty big. So I don't get wrapped up into that. So like I said before, I'm trying to build a team, not just a team of talent. And size doesn't scare us. And it's not part of our criteria on drafting players. Because if it was, we would have never drafted Jack Hughes or Jesper Bratt.
And how do you feel about the finishing with the team? Like, do you feel like?
Well, I think we have people who we believe have the ability to do that. I like to think we're a collective group. We're seeing it. Lindy talks about all the time. If we have to be a 4-line team to really compete. And if that's chipping in from every single line, I think it's scoring at opportune times. Power plays. We win a game in Calgary because of it. Fabian Zetterlund scores the goal. No one considered him to be anything but maybe a third or fourth line guy. And at the end of the day, that's all he may be. But right now, he's taking opportunity. Holtz will get his opportunity as well. And if there's something out there, and I'll say this on record, if there's something out there that makes sense for the New Jersey Devils to upgrade in areas, then I'm absolutely exploring that.
Okay, I know you have to run soon, so I got a couple final things. So the Rock was packed the other night. Like I live in California, so but I am coming out to 2 games next week. I'm flying out specifically for it. So, but the Rock was packed. There was great energy. You had the Brat Pack there. That was a big thing. Like you're building a winner, at least so far. Like, I mean, I know that you have to take the season in increments as to where you're at. You got a 9-game winning streak now, but we know how quickly that can turn. So, how nice is it to see the energy of the fans, like, and see like the sellout and see the people kind of coming to see the product that you've worked so hard to build over the past few years? And then the one final thing that I've got to say to you, and then I'll let you answer the other question, is my son is a huge Ryan Graves fan, and I have to ask you to re-sign him because my 12-year-old boy would never forgive me if I didn't ask you that. So I'll let you answer the other question.
Well, you can check the box and tell him you asked.
Okay.
But your first question with the fan base, we know how passionate they are and how starved they are for this organization to move into the next phase of where we said we were going from where we were. I've said it, and I've said it multiple times to our fan bases, whether it's just privately, downstairs at the Rock when, we're hosting some fans and season ticket holders. You don't want to be sitting on a dock missing this boat ship away because what we're trying to build is something special, and we think it's sustainable. But at the end of the day, only one team wins, and stars have to be aligned. But building something that we feel year in, year out, be a playoff team, be a team that contends for the Stanley Cup, and continue to put our best foot forward. I think when you see the crowd that we had the other day, you're seeing, okay, there's the appreciation, from the fan base, which is obviously something that we enjoyed seeing. But understand it's been some time where that place has been rocking like that. And hopefully we'll just keep chipping away here. But I told you the process is the most important thing than the results. And we just take it one practice at a time, one shift at a time, one period at a time, one game at a time.
I can tell you as a fan I've been a fan since the mid 80s, much to my dad's chagrin, who's a huge Boston Bruins fan, but I can tell you, it's been a long decade. So to even have this experience has been great so far. And I hope that that it continues. And congratulations on the work that got you a 9-game winning streak at the very least. So
thank you. Well, it was great talking with you.
Good talking with you as well. Thank you so much for the time.
Awesome.